Hey guys, Cam here from PhoneDog.com, and as you know, if you're following this site, you're probably enthused and excited about all things mobile technology, and over the last few years, smartphones have pretty much all been the same. But in the past, it wasn't that way. There were all sorts of shapes and sizes, and one of them was this. This is the BlackBerry 7230. It was released or announced in 2003. That was 11 years ago, and a lot has changed since then. But perhaps what this device does is it shows us exactly why BlackBerry were popular with specific users, had their own little niche in the market, and perhaps also shows us why they haven't really been able to keep up with the likes of iOS and Android. Now, the 7230 was released in an era when feature phones were pretty much the only phones regular consumers were buying. Smartphones were generally specifically made for business people who wanted to be able to do their work on the go, and that meant email, and nobody did email quite like BlackBerry did. Because of its own server-side system, then the BlackBerry emails, once you had it all set up, was instant. You could quickly reply and send messages, and because all the devices had great keyboards, it was very easy to do. The 7230 specifically was quite a large device for its time. It was 113 by 74 by 20 millimeters, so it's almost an inch thick, but it only weighed 130 grams. And because of the way it's been designed with this ergonomic hump on the back, and it's been shaped and it's been made out of plastic, it was lightweight, and somehow oddly really nice to hold. Even now. To control the phone, you had a track wheel on the right hand edge. You scroll it up and down to go through the menus and click it in to select, and just below that scroll wheel was the escape or back button. So you'd use this to end calls or go back to the previous menu or just escape whatever you're doing. On the top was a single phone button, like a short press button. You press it and you go straight to the phone app where you can make phone calls or view your most recent calls. On the left hand edge was the mini USB port and of course a 3.5mm headset jack, because of course a business person isn't complete without a wired headset, which in those days were terrible. The display was actually quite large for phones in those days. It was 2.6 inches diagonally, 240 by 160 pixels, which gives it a density of about 111 pixels per inch, which compared to today's standards is quite frankly terrible, but in those days again it was still fairly sharp and perfectly readable. What's interesting about this display, specifically if you're looking back at it with the technology we've got now, was the method they used to light it. It was a sort of really unusual LCD type panel. If I was to compare it to anything on the market now, it'd probably be more similar to what's on a Kindle reader than what's on a phone or a tablet, because actually it doesn't really properly have a backlight. In daytime you get better results looking at the screen if you're in a bright area. So if you're outdoors in the sun, or if you have bright lights in your office, it's really easy to read the screen. If there is no light, you can't see the screen at all, but there is a light button. So you switch the light on when it's dark and then you can see what's on your display. But this isn't a brightness or a light that you can control. You can't make it brighter or dimmer. It's a simple on-off light, more similar to what you would have perhaps on a digital watch than what you normally would get on a phone. So in short, the brighter your surroundings, the better the display was. And of course, we can't talk about BlackBerries new or old without talking about the keyboard, and this is probably one of the best keyboards that's ever lived on a phone. Now, I never had one of these 11 years ago. This is my first one, and I have loved using it over the past few days to type emails, to type notes and messages. It's so quick and easy. The reason for this is because the keys are really nicely spaced out. They're a good shape. They're really nice to click. You get nice response and nice feedback off the buttons. They just feel right. And that's something that BlackBerry has always done really well. Physical keyboards. And this one is one of the best I've ever used. And it's 11 years old. And something that perhaps we've got really used to these days is the fact that when you press the space bar twice in succession, you get a period or full stop. That's something that most phones didn't do then. Of course, we can't talk BlackBerries or old BlackBerries without talking Brick Breaker. The installed game was commonplace on every BlackBerry from this one all the way through until some of the later BlackBerry 7 models. And it was a pretty basic game, but incredibly addictive. It was to BlackBerry what Snake was to Nokia. And the simple aim of the game is to destroy as many bricks as you can with the ball that bounces around the screen using a paddle and collecting power-ups on the way. Now I have to admit, using this phone has been fantastic. The combination of the buttons and the user interface and it's hard to explain. Unless you've actually experienced using a BlackBerry like this, you can't really put into words exactly why it is good. It's just good. It's quick, it's efficient, I can type easily, I can get things done, and that's something that's always been there with BlackBerry devices, and that's something that BlackBerry fans will tell you. This is why I love my BlackBerry, because I can get stuff done. And yes, modern smartphones, Android and iOS, you can get stuff done, but somehow it doesn't feel the same. Again, I can't explain why, it just isn't. And this BlackBerry has got it and my iPhone doesn't. And I don't understand that, but that's how it is. It's just the truth. I would rather manage my emails and respond to messages and create emails on this than I would on my iPhone 5S or on one of my new Android devices. Overall then, the BlackBerry 7230 may be 11 years old, but it shows us exactly what makes BlackBerry fantastic. See, this is what BlackBerry has. They somehow got and understood exactly what people on the move needed to stay productive. Managers who couldn't take their computers out with them but wanted to be able to do everything that they needed to be able to do efficiently and quickly and reliably. That's what BlackBerry does best, and the 7230 is a fantastic example of how they succeeded and why they are so good and so renowned for that productivity. So that has been the BlackBerry 7230. It wasn't the first BlackBerry and it definitely wasn't the last, but it is one of the earliest examples that kind of encapsulates everything that's great about BlackBerry. I've been Cam, I'm at phonedog_Cam on Twitter. You can get in touch with me there, but I have a final question for you. Did any of you guys ever have a BlackBerry, and which was your first one? Did you have a 7230 or are you a bit too young for that? Let me know in the comments and I will get involved as I can. See you soon.